as you describe the world succumbing to the lack of discipline and the lack of focus and seeing that happen in such large numbers, I feel like your voice in this is so important, but there are so few people speaking the way you do, if I'm being honest with you.
Mhm.
How do you maintain your gratitude and positivity and your perseverance, not just for yourself? Because with that, I can understand. We all understand how we keep on pushing for ourselves. No one should have to explain that. If you're struggling with it, I get it. But
Understood.
how do you keep putting the hand out? How do you keep saying, let me bring you along? Let me keep helping people when I know they slap your hand away too, bro, because there's not everybody's ready for that.
Absolutely. Oh man. I was saying the same thing for years, and it took encouragement for me to keep saying it, because I started to be like, well, I'll just not say it anymore. No one wants to listen. But if someone actually came up to me to listen, the amount of times they walked away telling me, man, that changed my life, straight up, that changed my life, I would be confused. Honestly, the amount of times that happened, I was confused. Like, I think they might be pulling my tail. So I would just toss it over my shoulder as just like, oh, a random off, and just keep moving. But now I see it so differently. And I realize this is how I've been dealing with that experience my entire life. Imagine that there is an ocean, and the ocean is now rocky. It's a storm on the ocean, and the waves are really intense. Most of us have gotten knocked overboard, and we're scrambling in this ocean. Imagine that ocean is negativity, okay? I'm on a surfboard, and my surfboard is my mind, my body, my spirit, my worth. While I'm surfing, I can see other people have surfboards, but they aren't using their board. They haven't waxed their board in a long time, and they haven't worked on their core. So it's not easy to board. You don't just grab the board and stand up on it, especially when the waves are rocky. So I recognize a lot of people got to paddle first, right? So every now and then I'll see a group of people, I'll get off the board and paddle over, because me just boarding around can be arrogant, if not scary, when you've been desperately clinging. And also, me boarding around could mean you just grab my board and pull me over, right? So it's important to meet people where they are and share what I know. This is how you get on the board. Follow me. Let's use the momentum of this negativity to propel us forward, so we get on the board. And now that same negativity that might have drowned us is actually pushing us to a new land. But not everybody's going to come with me. And so I can't wait there, or else I'll drown. So for everyone who's come, we're paddling, and now we're going. And I encourage them to do the same for the next set of people they cross on the ocean of negativity, because that's what I'm going to do. And every time I leave one group of people, I make sure I'm conscious of my breathing. I'm conscious of re-waxing my board. I'm conscious of maintaining my core, so that I don't come to the next group of people weaker. No, I come stronger, more prepared, more patient, kinder, more positive, and in search of solution.
Okay, so here's a follow-up. I'm so excited to ask you this, because everything you just said kind of leads up to this thing I talk about on this show. I probably brought it up like 3 or 4 times, and I call it my Christmas Carol question.
Okay.
It is a specific example of a much broader thing about art that I'm so interested to hear your particular perspective on. Okay, so obviously the lesson that's built into a Christmas Carol, so obviously, is don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Spread your stuff. It's simple. It's a long story.
Okay,
the story's crazy long, but by the end of it, the old man's like, man, I should give some of my stuff away. That's the lesson. A little bit, right, a little bit, not all of it, but like, oh man, this kid with the broken leg, that's actually not a great situation. And I'm going to give him a few, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's not complicated. It's been around for a long time. We have made so many versions of this story. We've made it with Bill Murray. We've made it with Michael Caine and the Muppets. A new one just came out with Ryan Reynolds. Whichever version of this story you want to hear, we've probably put it to music and tape and video and whatever format. You can read the OG book. And yet everybody knows the story. It's hard to meet people who don't know A Christmas Carol at all, because it's not even particularly religious. It's not, it's just a simple story about don't be greedy. The greediest man in town has a bad night on Christmas. He wakes up and he's not a jerk anymore. So if the whole purpose of that seems so obvious, how is greed still such a rampant problem across society when everybody knows the story? The lesson could not be more obvious. The most greedy man in the world knows who Scrooge is. It's not a mystery. There's a duck version. What do you need? But it doesn't. If the purpose to retell the story is to continue to teach the lesson, but it seems like it doesn't sink in at large.
No, it's not going to sink in at large until more of us as individuals take ownership and agency of our own mind, body, spirit, our choice, and our experience. So I'm going to share a couple dichotomies. And again, I share these through Choice Forward. This is what I do, but it links directly to what you're talking about in a really intricate way. So bear with me and let me take you on this ride. All right. I believe that there is a bigger sense, the life inside us, right? Our mind, our body, and our spirit. And then there is the world at large. That's the thing outside us. That's what we created to try and make life better. Okay. So you follow me on that? Life in the, okay. Now imagine that everything, it doesn't matter what it is, my water bottle, every device you have, every routine you have, the cameras, the lights, they're all tools. Okay. Every thought we have is a powerful tool. And it has to be used with discipline and moderation for it to stay a tool. When we stop using it with discipline and moderation, it becomes a vice. Okay? And a vice is destructive to yourself and to your community. Same item can become either thing. We created the world to make life better, but the world is stifling life because the world stopped as a whole applying discipline and moderation to its agency. But where did its agency come from? Us, from people. People have an incredible gift. It's called ambition. Ambition is one of our most powerful tools. But when ambition stops being applied and checked with discipline and moderation, ambition becomes greed. And greed, like a virus, has taken over humanity and now is what drives the agency of the world. That's the best way I can answer your question succinctly.
Are y'all listening right now? Like, are you listening to this conversation that we are having about this? I've asked this question to like 600 people, not just on this show. I'm like the annoying guy at dinner who won't stop bringing up A Christmas Carol. And I swear I've never heard an answer that good.